Welcome, Toastmasters. You have been selected to deliver a toast on the evening of Grand Fête in honor of one of your beloved friends, possibly even a sibling. This lesson is designed to help you plan and deliver a toast that is both elegant and meaningful. It's not easy to get up and speak in front of people. That's obvious. But it's also not easy to actually praise another friend, to celebrate them in a way that's going to be meaningful to them and to the audience listening to you. So this lesson is designed to give you the steps and the tools, the outline and the content even really, to help you put together a toast that's really going to mean something to the person you're delivering it in behalf of. Now, the first thing we got to do right out of the gate is remember the point of this. A toast is a truthful blessing. If it's done carefully and faithfully, it's an act that fulfills the great commandment, really. For most of us, friendship is something that we kind of discover, something we find ourselves in, not something that we necessarily build on purpose. Time, common interests, common suffering, forgiveness, these things create a bond of affection that forms an essential part of our identity. A toast, on the other hand, requires a lot of intentionality, a lot of bravery. You can't just wing it and really do any good. In giving a toast, you have to turn the emotional grace you've received from the Lord through this friend into spoken and purposeful grace to the friend. The feelings that come naturally and with little effort on your part must now be channeled by discipline into words of truth. Otherwise, they will be flat and have very little impact. These words, if well chosen, can really create a spiritual seal on the friendship that's grown over many years. And it really does have the potential to strengthen the heart of the recipient to face whatever challenges lie ahead of them after high school. So let's get going. First of all, there are 3 parts to a good toast: the hook, the story, and the clink. Let's begin with the hook. This is very short, but it has to be good. You need this part of the toast to create some mystery, build some expectation, and get the audience listening. Remember, there's going to be nearly 50 of you delivering toasts this night. It's going to be an hour of listening, hopefully an hour filled with delight, laughter, and a few tears. But it's up to you to make it so. So this has to be short, but it has to be good. It needs to be well worded, dang near perfect. That's why I'm telling you, this is one part of your toast you absolutely cannot read from a card. Okay? It has to be memorized. You have to stand up and nail it. All right? So give them some mystery. Give some expectation. Make the audience be saying, "Tell me more." All right? And when you write this, think of 1 sentence, possibly 2, okay? But remember, it has to be quick, because as we'll learn in a little bit, you don't have much time at all. The story. Now, this is the heart of your toast. This is where you're really getting a chance to showcase the character of the friend you intend to elevate for the audience. Now, we're going to really get into the story very quickly because the story ignites the imagination. Okay? A good story is going to ignite the imagination, and it's going to form the basis for all the rest of the toast. If you get the story right, the rest really will fall into place. So what you need is a good story that's going to clearly illuminate something specific about the person you're toasting. Now, a good story needs some context, so start there. Let folks know when this happened, where you were, what was going on. Then build a narrative, and finally hit them with a punch, okay? A climax. A good story is going to have a climax that's funny, surprising, or a little touching, or probably a little bit of both, all 3. So think of it. You gotta set this thing up with some context. Where were you? What was going on? Okay, so the audience can follow. Remember, it's not just between you and the person you're toasting. It's the whole audience listening. So you have to get them in to the narrative too. Then tell the story and deliver the punch. Let them know where the climax is. Now, to do this, to really make this happen, you've got to do some mental work. Keep your laptop closed and your brain open, okay? Think about it. See it. Look in your own imagination. What were the visual details that you can conjure in your own memory? The more accurate and vivid you can make these details for the audience, the more powerful your story is going to be, even for the person you're speaking to. A story with vivid visual details is going to have more emotional impact than one filled with generalities and abstractions. Okay? So good story, context to climax. Remember, aim at something that's funny, surprising, or touching. And then as you're telling the story as much as possible, build a visual picture for your audience. Let them see the weather. Let them see the clothes somebody was wearing. Let them see let them see, you know, the background and the building that you were in, or the field that you were standing in, whatever it is. Let the audience see it as much as possible. Of course, other senses are valuable too, but the power of imaginative sight is going to be your number one tool in really making this work. Once you told the story, then it's time to close up shop. That's the clink. Okay, this is where you tie it together. You have some freedom here, frankly. This is where you might want to look up, really feel like you're kind of starting to improvise a little bit, but don't go too long. That's why it's so important to practice. It's important to write the thing out verbatim at least once and know it could be a minute long. But don't let your emotion ruin the moment by rambling. Okay, so you've told this story, not just for the heck of it. Okay, you've picked a story, not just one that will make you laugh, but one that will show the audience why you love this person so much and why this person is meaningful to you, why you think they deserve this toast. So what you've got to do now is you've got to go from the story you just told to the character trait you are trying to highlight. The more precise and specific you can be about that trait, the more you will bless the person you are toasting, okay? Okay, if you stand up and say you're awesome and you mean so much to me, that's sweet, and it does, I mean, I'm not saying it does no good at all, but if you can tell the person that they are brave for this reason, or that they lifted you out of a pit of sadness because of their kindness, or whatever it is, if you can really hone in on something specific, it will do a lot more to strengthening the heart of the person you're speaking for, okay? Now, it's real important at the tail end of this that you have another piece of your speech memorized. The clink, of course, we're calling that because you're actually at this point telling people to raise their glass, and you're saying some meaningful things. It's okay if you want to speak directly to them at this point, if you want to look them in the eye. It's okay if you get a little emotional and say, you mean more to me than you'll ever know, okay? Again, the more specific, the better, but it's okay to let this be a little bit more informal, but have a scripted clink ready so that you can close this up immediately, okay? Because you're going to realize if you let your heart start going and you let your emotion kind of like speak freely, you're going to realize, oh, I might be going on too long. So have the clink scripted ahead of time, and it needs to be something as simple as, so please raise a glass in celebrating the bravest person I've ever known, or please join me in toasting, join me in celebrating a person of such kindness. I think that the Lord will recognize their character when they arrive. I don't know, whatever. You fill that in, okay? So, but have it specific, okay? Raise a glass, join me in celebrating, please join me in toasting, something like that. Or let's drink to whatever, okay? Maybe don't say let's drink to. It's all going to be water, but it's got a little alcoholic vibe. All right, now, we've covered all three sections. How long do you have to do this? Here's how long you have. 1 minute. You want to feel how long that is? Here goes. Now I know some of your throats are closing up and your palms are sweating because you're thinking, is this really the halfway point? It is really the halfway point, but have no fear. When you are up at the podium speaking, these seconds will move about 3 times as fast as they're moving now. This minute will be gone before you can blink. But I also want you to know that there's plenty of time. If you know what you're going to say and you have your story ready, you can do this in a minute. Now, here's the things to avoid, all right? It's tempting, but it's absolutely not appropriate for the context. For you to be dropping a bunch of inside jokes, to be, delivering any kind of potty humor, please just keep it as clean and proper as you can imagine. It's not just this is not a Christian requirement, so to speak. This is just a requirement of the occasion. It's a sophisticated, elegant occasion. Keep it that way in whatever humor or jokes you give. Also remember, keep your praise specific, okay? As much as you can, try to hone in on the character of the person you're speaking about. You want to elevate their character. You want to show them that you have seen them clearly. I mean, as much as I appreciate the intention behind it, when people say, I appreciate what you do, I was going to be like, okay, but do you know what I do? Or when they say, you're awesome. You're awesome. Love it, appreciate you, man, or something like that. I'm just like, okay, fine. That's great. But like, does it do I know what I've done right? And so the more specific that praise, again, I promise you, the more specific praise, the more you're going to bless that person's heart. Okay, and give them something they can take with them after this into the next part of life. Okay, also, just don't talk about yourself. This is not about you. It's about the other person. So don't talk about how much you feel. Don't talk about your feelings, all right? This is not the time to talk about your feelings. You get a little bit at that at the end, but most of the speech has got to focus on the person you're toasting. Lastly, just be real careful about any unintentional insults, okay? This is easier to do than you might think. I hopefully will see your drafts and help you to avoid it, okay? To close up, let's talk about expectations, the things that are going to be on your checklist over the next several weeks, okay? First of all, before spring break, you are required to deliver to me through Google Classroom a 1-minute typed draft. How do you know it's 1 minute? Because you've tried to read it out loud, okay? Do not give me something that you've not read out loud. I'm going to read it out loud, and I do not want the hassle of being like, please, you've got to cut this down. If I say you got to cut this down, then I can't even help you edit the speech, okay? Because if the speech is too long, you're going to have to do all this major overhaul, and I'm not going to be able to give you any pointers. So get something that you know is a minute, type it up, and submit it on Google Classroom. over spring break am going to give you feedback on it, and then you're going to revise it, and when we get back to school after spring break, you're going to schedule a run through with me, you're going to do it live, you're going to revise that one more time, you're going to practice a ton before Friday night, and then you're going to deliver something that is going to make your friend weep their eyes out. So let's raise a glass to good memories, good friends, sobbing their eyes out as they realize just how deeply they are loved.